What should I do if I am contacted by an investigator for the Alabama State Board of Pharmacy? That is a very good question, and one that needs to be answered, and the steps that you take and the process that you go through is one that could prove to be very, very important as you move through the complaint and litigation and the hearing process. Generally, a complaint is brought by an individual or an employer or another pharmacist, and the complaint is filed with the board. Depending on the severity of the complaint, the board will take one of a couple of options that it has available, and then it will act on those options. If it is a minor complaint, the board will assign an investigator to the complaint, and the investigator will come out and take a look at any documents or investigate the complaint based on the allegations that have been made. If it is a more serious complaint, such as drug diversion or some other issue that could affect patient safety, or if the pharmacist is conducting him or herself in a way that could harm the public, then the pharmacy board will take action immediately, and many times will seek to have the license surrendered pending the outcome of the matter, or will file an action to do an emergency suspension of the pharmacy license, the DEA permit, the controlled substance license, or the pharmacy permit if that is applicable. If you're contacted by an investigator from the Alabama State Board of Pharmacy, there are a couple of things that you should do. The first thing is, we suggest that you retain a lawyer immediately upon being notified about an investigation. You should retain a lawyer so that you have competent legal counsel through the process, so that the information that you provide is in the best way for you and is in a way that benefits you the most. The board hearing process is much different from a criminal case. You do not have the right to remain silent in a professional board matter if you plan to keep your license and continue practicing. In other words, if you choose not to speak to the board ever, they will file charges against you if they are warranted, and they will process those charges and set a hearing date and send you notice of the hearing and of the complaint and of the charges, and they will set a hearing date, and if you choose to continue to remain silent and not appear, the board will have a hearing and take action without your presence and your involvement. And per Alabama law, they have every right under the law to do so. So it's very important that if an investigator talks to you or contacts you, that you speak with them, or if you've hired an attorney, that you make sure that you let them know that you've hired an attorney. Ultimately, you will have to speak to the board or to the investigator, and that can be arranged through us as your attorney. The other thing that you need to know about being contacted by a board investigator is you should always, if you choose to speak to them, you should always be truthful. That is really common sense and should not have to be said, but if you are untruthful with the board investigator, untruthful with the board through the process, ultimately that will not benefit your case in the end, whether you settle your case or whether your case actually goes to a hearing. You do not want to have to backtrack and undo lies or half-truths that you have told as you move through the process. It is already a difficult process for a pharmacist or a pharmacy tech to go through, and you want to make sure that you do not have any of the extra tasks that you might have to undo as you move through the process. You should always be respectful to the board investigators, also known as state drug inspectors. You should always treat them with the same respect that you expect to be treated. You should also be very kind and considerate to the board attorney, the staff at the board office, and anyone else you come into contact with as it relates to the investigation or the complaint against you. Do not misunderstand what I am saying. I am telling you to be kind and courteous to these people, because when it comes down to it, they are not out to get you, and they are not trying to do something that is incorrect. All they are doing is investigating and prosecuting a complaint that was filed. If the complaint that was filed against you is improper, there is a method and a procedure to go through the process and litigate the complaint so that evidence can be presented indicating that. But it is not going to help your case for you to feel like the board is after you in particular, or that anyone within the board office is out to get you, so to speak. It's very important that you have the proper mindset going into a board matter. Again, I am not telling you that if a complaint is filed against you, you should be nice to everyone, admit that you did everything wrong within the complaint, and simply plead guilty to everything and take the punishment that you receive. That is not what I'm saying. I'm simply telling you it's not going to help your case to be a jerk to a board investigator or to anyone else throughout the process. You should also begin making lists of witnesses that could help your case or testify on your behalf, and you should obtain copies of your employment file at your employer so that you have proper records and proper documentation for items that may be needed later. Again, our advice is for you to hire competent counsel who handles Alabama State Board of Pharmacy matters well in advance of charges being filed if you are notified, and during or prior to the investigative process. It's very important that you have someone working with you who has been through this process many times and who understands the difference and the difference in the way that things need to be handled as it relates to board matters versus other administrative matters or criminal cases. My name's Joseph Kreps, and I am an Alabama State Board of Pharmacy defense attorney. I represent pharmacists and pharmacy technicians and applicants to sit for the board exam to become pharmacists in the state of Alabama. If you are under investigation or you have been charged by the Alabama Board of Pharmacy, all you have to do is pick up the phone and call us. We are more than happy to speak to you about your case, to go over your options, and to answer any and all questions that you might have. We believe that you have a right to speak to a lawyer without having to pay a consultation fee, and all you have to do to make that happen is call our office. You can also visit us on the web at alabamapharmacistdefenseattorney.com. You can reach us at 866-348-2889. Thank you very much.